unlock a whole new paradigm of relating and dating. Regardless if you are in a romantic, intimate relationship, you're exploring dating, or even open to being in a relationship, you're going to want to know about these things, because this is going to radically shift the way that you are relating to sex, love, and the opposite sex, or the same sex, if that's your vibe. But either way, whatever tickles your fancy, this applies. So what we're going to be doing is talking about the way of the heart. We started with a heart meditation. Tantra is a path of the heart. It is a yogic lineage that branches and speaks from the heart. What we're going to be doing is working with sacred sexuality and expanding our heart, just like we did in this meditation and this yogic practice. We're going to understand now the energetics of yoga, the yoga of intimacy, which is an energetic play. And the good news is you all are in charge and responsible for your participation in that dynamic in whatever way you relate. You can either choose to be an active participant, or you can choose to be a sleepy participant. But guess what? You're participating anyway. So might as well be conscious and have some tools and how to navigate so you can actually get what you want and feel real damn good about it. This goes into all areas of life. So we're going to go through the way of the heart. Intimacy is opening to bliss. Into me translates to into me I see. How available, like really available, are you for someone to see into you? And that gets scary, because what if someone looks to me? What if someone looks into me and they see my shadows? They see my flaws. They see my fear of being loved. They see my insecurities. I don't want them to see all that. I want them to see the bright and shiny object that I am, right? Or the really powerful, badass businessman that I am, right? We all posture and position to some way in relating, and that's normal. But when we desire true deep intimacy, it's going to require us to step up and level up our game and be really honest. Are we ready to let someone see us and teach us and water us so we can grow in ways that we would otherwise hide and leave out in the dark? And that's what's really beautiful about what I'm teaching you all and sharing with you all today, is that this will help you cultivate deeper levels of intimacy. Now, relationships, in my opinion, are the ultimate spiritual teachers. And when it comes to sex, there's always a sticking and a growing point. How many of you agree with that? Raise your hands. How many of you don't agree with that? Raise your hands. How many of you have no fucking idea what I'm talking about right now? Okay, cool, great. At least I got some action going on. I love it. Okay, great. You're about to find out more. Then I'm going to ask that same question. So here we go, sexual and spiritual intimacy, right? What I'm going to talk about is how to make relationships and sex more embodied. What the hell do I mean by embodied? You're going to find out by the first key. We're going to also go into ways that this is going to raise your sex life to a higher level and create intimacy that allows you to feel really deep, greater sense of fulfillment. We're going to also move beyond just procreating, fucking, and just going into pleasure, and see that we can actually use sex and intimacy as a massive catalyst to grow. Whether it's our money, whether it's our relationship, whether it's our love, whether it's our business, it is a catalyst for us to grow. We can have greater health and spiritual gains and expansion in consciousness and in the liberation frequency, which means we don't give a fuck. So key one, you guys are ready for key one? Conducting love through your body. Write that down. If you didn't write that down, you want to write that down. Don't be lazy lovers. Nobody likes a lazy lover, whether you're male or female. Nobody likes a lazy lover, unless you choose to play that role. So the first one is conducting love through your body. What does this actually mean? You can read all of that up at the top, but I'm going to go a little bit more into detail. Conducting love through your body means that you become, like in our meditation, a conduit for love. You literally move and open your body to receive more love, to experience more connection and more intimacy, which requires us to cultivate a practice. It's not just, I'm gonna be a conduit of love and I'm gonna show up. No, this is a bit fluffy and foo-foo. What I'm talking about is actually cultivating a practice of opening your body. Many of us, and the majority of us, don't have an open body, which means we don't have an open energetic system, which means our nervous system doesn't know how to handle intense emotions. It doesn't know how to handle someone seeing us at a very conscious, clear level. That goes even into eye contact. How comfortable are you holding eye contact and not breaking or looking away? Notice if you get nervous. Notice if your body closes, and this is a great example. How many of you are sitting with your legs crossed right now or your arms crossed? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, so all of this blocks intimacy. Look at your physiology. If you want to be in more connection and more intimacy, it requires you to develop a new pattern of opening your body. So we have, and Naeem talked about it earlier, and Kyle did as well, we have patterns, yes? We all agreed on that. We have habitual patterns of closing and blocking off to intimacy through our body, crossing our legs, crossing our arms. The biggest thing that I see men do all the time when they're standing and talking to me. Like literally closing your energy off, right? Women, stand to the side. How available am I right now to you really feeling me or being inside of me? Not even sexually, but actually feeling into me. I'm not really that available. I'm like kind of there, cool. But if I stand here and I hold eye gaze with you and my breath is bigger, right? And my body's open, right? And I breathe and you hear me breathing and you can feel my tone. My body's more available. This is what I mean by developing a practice, right? To conduct love through your body, because we have these habitual trained programs and patterns that protect us. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just noticing, how available am I to love for real? How available am I to experiencing my partner? I might say I want it till I'm blue in the face, but what is my body language saying? Right? If I'm at a bar meeting a girl or a guy, right? What am I doing there? What are the ways that you're protecting yourself? So I want you to just take a moment here and write that down. What are the ways that you are protecting yourself through your body language? You might not even been aware of it until right now, right? You might not have been aware of it till now. So just notice that. Notice that. What do you do to protect yourself? Do you look away? Do you hide? And that's a normal thing because, again, this key is about really developing a practice to strengthen your nervous system so that you can hold and receive more energy through intimacy, through human interaction. It doesn't even have to be sexual intimacy, right? This radically impacts the way that you do business or the way that you can connect to your children or your animals. Right? This is just starting with sex because sex is a microcosm for the macrocosm of our entire rest of our life. So just take a note. Does someone want to even share something real quick of what they noticed about themselves, body language-wise, that you do when maybe you're in an intimate situation where you don't want to necessarily be seen or let someone in? Any brave, beautiful soul wants to share one thing? I see you.
Sometimes I don't stand as tall as I can and keep my shoulders back. And I definitely know, sometimes, well, I'm good at noticing if my arms are crossed, so I try not to do that, but sometimes I notice the urge to do that too.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else? Oh, the next guy?
I did the same one. I stand lower a lot of times too.
You stand lower.
Yeah, I separate my legs. I separate my legs out so I can stand shorter sometimes.
Hands in pocket.
Hands in pocket. That's another really good one. Yeah.
I just know I am tense a lot. Like I tend to try to puff my chest out and I just sometimes I'm really just rigid and not relaxed. I just kind of, I don't know, in fight or flight kind of thing. And I'm just in fighting mode a lot.
Yeah. Really, really great observation. Any women want to just share from a feminine perspective what you may do?
I do notice I do cross my arms a lot, and then I have to keep remind myself again and again. And then when I'm in a conversation that I don't really know how to participate, I'm like literally go through the conversation in my head, like, okay, where should I put my hands? Like, what should I do with my hands? Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yes, great.
So yeah, for me, it's very, when I think about how I look, where do I put my hands, like it's impossible to do anything, because I think that it's just the wrong kind of thoughts. And what really helps me is thinking about people whom I'm talking to and having them hear the message. So the message and delivering the message is what makes it all meaningful. And also I immediately forget about what's the posture, what's happening with the muscles. Like it's naturally all the body language starts supporting the story. And that's what's needed.
Beautiful. Love that. Great. The body language. And another piece is like clenching your jaw, tightening your throat, right? Tightening in your belly. So this is a part of the first one, which is, again, retraining your nervous system to know what's safe again and to play with the edge of what feels uncomfortable. Just staying in your comfort zone isn't going to get you to an edge that's going to allow you to open. So there's something called edging, which is riding the edge of your discomfort, getting in, not going way off the deep end, right? Because that could be harmful if you're doing things too fast, too soon. That's what trauma is. But if you get to an edge of something, dip your toe in it, right? Or maybe actually like put a foot in it, right? So allow yourself to slowly melt into the edge is how I love to say it. And that's one of the really big keys here is conducting love through your body, because I don't know about you, but I've been with a partner where I can't feel them at all, right? I can't actually feel my partner. When a partner would kiss me or be next to me, previous partners, I couldn't feel them because they weren't alive in their body. They were so in their head. They weren't letting their love, their heart, their breath, their intention move through them. So that's why we may experience a relationship where it feels like there's not a lot of energy, right? Or we may experience something where I have a lot of energy. I'm very, very passionate, and I have a lot of energy, and I cultivate that energy, right? But I'm aware that that's taken time for me to do this, right? I was very numb. I was very turned off. I was very in my head previously. So really cultivating a practice of how long I can be in something. And for me, that started with eye gazing. So I want you just to turn to each other real quick, and we're going to do about like a 30-second process. And I want you to eye gaze with someone that you don't know. So turn around, find someone that you don't know, right? Someone that you don't know. And I want you to look into each other's eyes. Yeah, look into each other's eyes. Right? So look into each other's eyes. And you may get funny or silly or be awkward, but here's a great key. Look, here it is. Look into the left eye. Look into their left eye. What that does is it bypasses the brain and it gets you into your heart so you don't look away, and you can train your nervous system to handle more of whatever's coming. Maybe you want to laugh. Maybe you want to turn away, right? But practice that little bit, and notice, what does it do to your physiology? Oftentimes when we look at each other, we're laughing, we get giggly, and that's a great sign, right? And the part of this key to unlock, great job, everybody. Good job. Give yourselves a round of applause. Yeah. So notice that little bit, when you laugh and giggle, that's where our edge is, because then we want to turn. We want to protect. We're like open and we're laughing, and now we're vulnerable. It's like, oh no, I'm laughing. They're going to know that I'm open. Let me go back to close and protect. That's the edge where, like, how good can I stand it? Can I, for a little bit longer, breathe more and stay open just a tiny bit more to strengthen and recode my nervous system to handle more pleasure, more love, more goodness, yeah? Are we all, so if you say yeah, if you're feeling that. Yeah, beautiful. So one brief thing before I go into it is notice there's a pattern that comes up when we lean into this. Either you're a love avoidant or you're a love chaser. When you get into those moments of opening the body, and then there's that laughter and there's an opening, you may then go into a pattern of, ooh, I'm going to close up and avoid because this is getting too intimate. I'm going to be seen too much, right? I got to protect. And you'll avoid the situation, so just notice. Or do you go into a pattern of, oh no, it's going to leave. I need more. I want to chase that love. I want to keep that connection going. And so you'll chase the connection. So just keep in mind, right, and take note of what's your personal pattern that you can consciously work with recoding, where you become secure. You don't need to avoid it, but you also don't need to chase it. You're just relaxed in your body, you're open and available, and you're moving your emotions, your love through, right? So we're going to go into the second one. Second key, create a container for loving communication. You guys should definitely write this key down. Communication is so huge. And one of the things when people ask me to do a wedding blessing for them, they say, you know, what do you bless me with when I help officiate weddings is, I wish for you a lifetime of amazing, loving communication. Because through communication is where we really, really meet edges. Do we dare to say the thing? Do we dare to communicate how we really feel? And do we dare to do it in a way that isn't name, shame, blaming of the other person, but in a way that creates a cocoon for love? There's a beautiful book that is called Conscious Loving. There's also another really great book called Getting the Love That You Want. And in this book called Getting the Love You Want, specifically, they talk about this stream. And there's this beautiful stream that's really clean. And both partners come to this stream to drink water from. And you show up to this stream consciously and intentionally, and you're both drinking from it. So why, if one partner starts shitting in the stream, would they start to pollute their other partner's water? Right? You're not going to throw shit in there. You're not going to throw pollution in there or litter in there. You might, but what's going to happen is that's going to affect your partner, and that's going to affect the space between that's no longer safe and clean. So by creating a container for loving communication, you're literally setting a space. And you say, I would like to set an intention for us to communicate lovingly. Are we agreeing in this intention? Then you know, okay, we're aligned not to attack and blame each other, but we're aligned to come to a resolve and come back to love. Because that's what's important here, is loving. And when we create a container, we want to make sure we can speak passionately and honestly, and that we're doing it in a way that's a non-violent communication. So there's no like, fuck you and you did this. Like, it's removing the violence out of it. You can still be passionate. But I know back when I wasn't doing this work in my college years, I had a partner and we would be like, fuck you and naming and blaming and so unconscious, and it would turn into a massive fight, right? A massive fight. This key will unlock your ability to not even fight, but to learn how to love each other through the tension, how to melt and soften together, right? So don't make each other wrong. Agree to have a culture of compassion where we can hear each other's desires, resentment, and withholdings. This is very important. Why is this important? Because so many times we withhold things from our partner. We withhold our love from our partner. We withdraw from our partner. We also, and again, a communication, if you're dating, right? You're not gonna tell them everything, right? And to some extent, they don't need to hear all of that. However, to withdraw your energy because you're not in your heart, because you're afraid to communicate your real desires, right? What do you really desire? How are you going to get what you desire if you're too afraid to communicate it? Whether it's, I want to date, or yes, I want to be married and have kids, or no, I don't want to have kids. No, I don't want to be married. Actually, I want to have multiple partners. Whatever that desire is, it's cultivating this first within yourself. Can you be honest with yourself? Can you speak lovingly and compassionately with yourself? Because this will reflect out into the relationship dynamic, and learning how to change your own internal thought dialogue to one of love and compassion. Even though you may desire things that seem alternative or radical, to the mainstream, or even to your family or society or religion, can you have a loving dialogue and explore that with yourself without shaming yourself or blaming yourself? And by practicing this with yourself, can you then translate this and give this as a gift to your partner? You can practice it together. You can invite someone into it. But by creating an intention for yourself to continuously be loving and compassionate, will radically transform your internal dialogue, which is a great gift in itself because we're always in self-intimacy. We are born alone, we will die alone. Bottom line. It's always going to be you and you. So can you make yourself your first and best choice through love and compassion? And can you also come back to the partner or the person you're dating and start to have a new dialogue? You'll date differently from this perspective. You'll relate differently from this perspective, right? How many of you have ever done any process called imago or mirroring with anyone, where you have a dialogue and then they mirror it back to you? You have. What was your experience like when you did that?
I haven't done it like, I've done it physically, like, where like, it's exercising with the, what's it called, with the look and like literally mirroring, and it's kind of uncomfortable if you've never done it. It's just,
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know the person. So it's just like, you know, because I feel like the eyes are the window to the soul. It sounds so cliche and cheesy, but it's like,
But it's true.
you're seeing, at least I feel that if I see you, like I see you. And sometimes you don't know if if you're, you know, if you want to be seen that way as well. I don't know if other people have, you know, the capabilities or like that. I don't know. So it's very intimate for me in my experience.
It is very intimate. So what did you do in regards of incorporating that? Was that too intimate that you just discarded it, or is it something that you are aware of that you want to practice?
I've done it a couple of times. The first time I did it, I was just like out of it. I was like, this is too much.
Too intense, too much.
It was too intense. And then I did it a couple of years after, and then I was like more open and like, you know, it's better. But still a little bit, it's always a little bit uncomfortable. It's not, it's not a walk in the park.
Yeah, it's not a walk in the park, and that's thank you so much for sharing. What's your name again? Mindy's? Mirtis. Okay, beautiful. Thank you for sharing, and that's my point is this stuff is gonna be uncomfortable, but like you said, it does get better and better the more you practice it, which is why key one is so important, is really practicing and learning how to open your body past those uncomfortable edges. And what did you find as a result? Do you feel like you can see that person better and they could see you better?
100%. 100%. Yeah. You don't have to talk, you just see. And
You can just see one another.
And you just know. You don't have to talk.
And there's a knowingness.
Exactly. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
But you just know.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
What is it? What's imago?
Well, imago therapy, and that's a great book if anyone's interested in getting it. It's called Getting the Love That You Want, and it describes something that's called imago therapy. I won't go into the full therapy because it's just too long in detail, and my talk is not that long. But imago therapy is basically a way of relating differently and if you say fighting differently. One of the teachings in imago is mirroring. So what you do is you actually mirror back to the other person what it is that they're saying. And oftentimes in that very first practice, when you mirror back to someone what you hear them say, you have your own stories that are thrown in there. You have your own things. You twist what they say. So this is a therapy method of getting you to practice doing what she's saying, see them, listen, and then be a clear mirror to reflect back verbatim in their words what they said, so that that person feels heard and person feels seen and they feel loved, and then they can do the same thing for you. So the biggest thing that happens in arguments, where again, this is a really great place, is oftentimes people don't feel heard and seen. So then you're on the defensive side. When we feel heard, when we feel seen, and when we feel validated, we soften again. We're more available for love again and for resolve. But when we are not feeling heard or seen, we want to get into a place of combativeness because we want our voice or our opinion or our desire to matter. And this is a way of getting it to matter. So I can share more, but yeah, Getting the Love You Want is a really great book on that.
Is this something that you also, like, I can understand, like, if we're having a conversation and I'm like, I hear you saying this, and like that's literally what you just said. But you see situations where it's like, oh, well, like last week you said something, right? And then I have like my own story.
Oh yeah, I'm going to get into this in the next
twisted.
key.
Okay, so
This is great. This is going to get into the next
but
key.
I'm like curious on like how that happens, because a lot of the times like there's tonality and all these other things that like, you know, if I was dating someone or something, I might have heard it, put it in my brain in a certain way, and then when I bring it back up a couple days later, or a week later, a month later, year later, whatever it is, like the way it impacted me wasn't maybe how she intended it to, and that creates
Yeah.
conflict, right? If it's like a thing in the
Yeah.
heat of it, and I do that, and like we're both educated on that, and we both understand this practice, which I think is super valuable too, is like relationship coaching, or like doing relationship seminars with your spouse is probably super valuable. But I'm just curious how that
Yeah.
the time stretch, how we deal with that.
So what you're speaking to, which I'll touch on briefly, great question, is we actually have our own lenses and our own interpretations of reality that we hold based on our childhood. Even though our parents did it as best as they could, some were even the best parents, they still fucked us up in some way. So we all have childhood wounding regardless of what you think. It's just how we're interpreting the experience, the story that we're making it mean, and then most importantly, what you're speaking about is the way that we're holding it inside of ourselves. And that's why I always ask my clients all the time, how are you holding what they said inside of you? Are you holding it against you? Are you holding it against your ideas or your beliefs? What are we making it mean? So with the imago, we're noticing that actually everything that the person brings up is the perfect material to trigger us to heal our childhood wounding, because we all have it. And so through the imago theory, it's about using relationships and dating as a way to actually return us back to our natural innocent state of love, of joy, of bliss in relating. And so that's the intention of using that imago therapy. But I'll explain some tools on how to do that in a moment in one of the next keys. But that's what the thing is, we're interpreting all the time what we're getting, what we're receiving, and then our body, right, is holding it, and we create stories. But our body also remembers what that other woman said to us, right? What maybe another ex-girlfriend said to you that wasn't healed, or someone, a boyfriend or a girl or a neighbor or a parent or a cousin said something to you when you were 10 years old, and you stored that. And so someone may say something to you and it will bring up this oftentimes it's old stuff, but we aren't trained yet how to heal it, how to consciously work with it and navigate it. And therefore we want to get into these states of being upset and name blaming. Even that, one great thing around being upset, it's on the slide, but I'll share now, is one of the things that I love to use and I tell my clients is actually be clear on your upset and finish the statement. I'm upset because. I'm upset because. I'm upset because. Keep asking yourself that question, and you'll get to the bottom root of why you're actually upset, and you're going to be shocked. It's not at all what you think you're upset about. But you're going to bring that to your relationship. I'm mad at you. You didn't close the door, and then you left it open. It's like, that's not really what you're mad about. You're mad about something else that probably has nothing to do with me, but I'm the trigger point to highlight what's going on that's an old piece inside of you. And that's why the loving communication is so important for us to not take it so seriously or blame our partners, but see them as a loving ally. You talked about your superhero team. Can you see the people in your lives, and your partner especially, as your ally, right? As your ally in love, as your ally in healing. And that radically transforms the way that you show up for that person. And now, and I'll get into it in one of the later keys, but I'm going to navigate from there. Does anyone have any brief questions before we move on? Because I'm going to explain more of this in one of the other keys. Are we liking this? How are we feeling? Yes? Woo! Let me see. Let me hear a yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes! Okay, good. Notice, where's your body language? If you want to receive more of this, open up your body language. Right? I know you probably get annoying, but listen, I love you guys so much. I want you to get the benefits of this. I want you to feel more of my energy through your body, because right now what's actually happening, guess what? You guys are all getting an energy attunement session. Not only this, I'm transmitting to you more energy, more love. You're training your nervous system in this exact moment. You think you just came for a lecture? No, honey, you didn't. You came to receive a nervous system upgrade. So the invitation is to let yourself receive the nervous system upgrade by opening up your body in a non-sexual way that's going to activate your nervous system in a way that's really beneficial in all areas of your life. Okay, next, make sexual polarity art. You should definitely write that one down. Sexual polarity, making the use of sexual energy in art, and cultivating this energy, developing the skill set and the capacity. Making love is a skill set, y'all. Playing with your own masculine and feminine energy, dynamic, attraction, arousal, it's a skill set. We're not taught how to do this, right? And oftentimes we don't have schools or education to teach us, but y'all are in luck because I'm here to share with you all, right? This is benefit news. So you have to actually create it and not just expect it, especially in the long run. So if you're in a long-term relationship and you wonder where the fire is gone, where the spark is, why there isn't the charm, I truly believe that our relationships get better and better and better forever and ever and ever, not just a cliche, but it gets better because you choose to work on it. The moment you choose to stop cultivating the relationship, the energy, the love, your own sexual power, is where it's gonna just diminish, 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 diminish. And then we put the responsibility on our partner. Why aren't you turning me on anymore? Why aren't I aroused? Why don't you take me on date night? Why don't we do this? What's going on here? You don't wanna have sex? What's going on? Well, where are we in the practice together, right? Cultivating, regardless if you're in a relationship or not, you can individually practice cultivating your sexual energy, right? It's a muscle. It's a muscle. So for men, a lot more men in the room, for men, practicing cultivating your masculine power means that you relax your feminine, right? You relax your feminine and allow yourself to explore more of your masculine, penetrative power. And I'll share with you in a moment what that means. For the feminine, that means relaxing our mind. That was really hard for me. Running a business, doing a million different things, being a Jane of all trades, in my mind all the time. Right? So cultivating a practice where I'm actually relaxing my mind and I'm animating my feminine, right? And before you maybe think this is sexist, I'm looking at this from an energetic perspective, which shows we all have masculine and feminine poles, polarity, duality. That's what makes a spark, right? Look at a car battery. You need to have a positive and a negative in order for there to be electricity and spark going to do the engine. The same thing works with us in life. And so here's a fun little fact through Tantra. We are opposites in our poles physically in our body. So for men and women, we're different. Literally, we're different. Our poles are different. So when we look at our sex, men, your cock is positive. Right? Look at the car battery. For women, our genitals, our vagina, I love to say the word pussy, is negative, which means that's our receiving pole. Men, that's your giving pole. But here's a really cool piece, is it switches. When we move up to the heart, it's reversed, right? It's reversed. Women, right? Women are in the positive, right? And men are in the negative, which means that it's the feminine to shine our love light, our radiance, not through the brain, but through the body, through our sensuality, our sexuality, our dance, our joy, our pleasure, and literally give that. That's how we give our gift to the world, is through the heart. And that's where the masculine receives and men get to receive, is through the heart. Now, if your heart is closed and you're armored up, that's going to be really challenging to deeply receive love. Sex is one thing, but to receive deep, fulfilling, mind-blowing, love-making, sex, connection, intimacy, joy, that's why the heart work is so important, but that's also why the sex work is so important. Who's feeling me on this? Say aye. Uh-huh. So questions on the masculine, feminine pole before I go a little bit more deeper into this. Any question? Want to hand him the mic?
Can you elaborate more on the heart side? I've never heard that and that is particularly, I guess, on the man side, not to give your heart, but rather to receive.
Yes, I love this. So the biggest gift that you give is it's your heart, but it's not your heart from the feminine heart. The biggest thing for masculine is to master your sex and your heart, so that your for lack of a better word, your fuck energy is your heart energy. So you're bridging your cock and your heart as a man. And that bridging of your cock and your heart is evolutionary, because you operate from primal, from just procreating, and then you move up into the heart space, which is softer and more relaxed and more giving and more loving for yourself to heal and open the heart. But when we look at the circuitry of energy, when we're looking at the Tantra of actually circulating energy between two beings for the sake of creating union and harmony, the way that the masculine is designed is the receiving pole is in the heart, because your giving pole is in your cock. And it's the same thing for the feminine, where our receiving pole is literally in our genitals. We receive from you, right? So you have to actually give to us in that way. Now, the thing that's the biggest gift with the masculine is your ability to receive us, which is your receiving pole through the heart. And as the feminine, we want to connect in the heart. That's one of the greatest gifts for us, is to be able to feel your heart, the depth of your heart connected to your deep fuck and your penetration. To be able to feel your heart through the way you hold us, through the way you press up against us, right? Through your masculine power that we can't cultivate as the feminine, because that's not our power, right? We have a different power. And so it's a way for us to circulate energy through one another and create a really beautiful union of energies between us. Does that make sense? Yeah, great question. Any other questions?
Are there any other like poles? Like, what about your mind chakra or your throat chakra, or other than just the two that you identified?
Great question. So primary poles, no, there's only two, right? Like north and south, there's only two poles. But what you're speaking to is the chakra system. So we have a variety of chakra system. The chakra system, and I'll just go into the chakra system, is aligned to the 72,000 nadis, which are these 72,000 points that are within our nervous system, which is why it's so important to strengthen our nervous system. The chakras goes into the energy centers within the body. So that helps us create like the energetic scaffolding. But when we look at the exchange of energy, just like a car battery, there's only two poles, because that's how we're designed. And that's why it's really important to do work on both of those sides and find where there's a match. If two people are closed in their heart, if the feminine's heart isn't positive and pulsating and in her radiance and giving, right, which is one of the most attractive things on the planet, and the masculine heart isn't open, they're not going to have a heart connection. They may have a sex connection, right, primal sex connection, but there isn't the heart connection, right? And there can be the same thing where if there's really beautiful love in the heart, you guys can become best friends. And then you guys are best friends together, and you guys are like companions, but then there's no juicy, deep, erotic. And what I'm speaking to is the erotic energy, which is known as eros. Eros translates to life force. And when we look at the exchange of life force through the vessel of our body, and what we're here to do is come into union, it is by working with the eros, the life force, the key one is opening the body to conduct more of that life force through us, which is sexual energy. But it also can express as creativity, right? As a project, as life, as more love, that we use it for beyond just making babies and just having sex. We use it for actually elevating one another, our consciousness, because why? We're running more of this life force energy through us, and that elevates us. And when we're elevated in a happy, blissful state, what happens? We have more ideas. We have more creativity. Things just start working really well, right? Notice things just start to shift in that way because we're operating and we're elevated at a much higher place. Does that make sense? To answer the question? Beautiful. Thanks for the question. We have one more. Can you hand her the mic? And then we're going to move on to the next one. Can you hand her, who has the mic back there? And again, this is all more nuanced. I'm always happy to go deeper into it. This is more of just like an opening intro, but let's go.
Okay, this is more of a specific question, but
Great.
for a woman, can't the heart chakra be blocked so that they're giving love, but they're not able to receive? Because I've seen that, I feel like I've seen that dynamic between a girl and a guy.
Yeah, so just I'm going to ask you to repeat your question one more time. What's the actual question? Say it a different way.
Okay, so I think like the concept is that the woman is giving through the heart chakra, right? But then shouldn't the woman also be receiving from the heart chakra from the guy? Like, or, but is the receiving all coming from physical? Like, I don't really understand that part.
Yeah, great. Those are really good questions. So this is, again, more nuanced. So yes and, right? It's yes and. Whenever we're giving too much, there's a deficiency, right? There's a deficiency. And in order to have our heart be in balance, we need to be able to have boundaries around how much we're giving as well as how much we're receiving. Now, with the feminine, we receive our own heart and our own love, right? But we do receive, and I'm talking about sexual polarity specifically, not the chakra system. The chakra system is a different system, and that's looking at the 8 primary specific energy centers that go through the nervous system, which do support creating and cultivating more energy within the 2 poles. So to the question, yes, when we look at the chakra system, we can either be in excess, we can be in deficiency, right? Or we can be in balance. So what you're speaking to would be an excess, right? An excess in the heart chakra, which could create a feeling of sadness and longing and depletion because she's not really receiving, which means there's that flow of life. But remember what I said, we're still receiving through the body. And that receiving still comes up to the heart, right? So even though we're saying it's got to be heart to heart, yes, but it's the full body, right? The full body. That 72,000 nervous system goes to the entire body. So we want to have it be circulating, right? Does that make sense? Is that helpful? Does that answer your question? Beautiful. Okay, who was with me? Say yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next one. How much time do we have? Okay. So 4, own and clear projections. This was what Kyle was asking about earlier. Oh, projections, right? So what he was speaking to, which is what I'm going to talk about now, is that we cast these stories and these narratives on our partner from a place within our own deep psyche, within our own consciousness, with our own textures, our thoughts, our emotions. And we put them onto the other person without checking with the other person to see if this is actually true. And then we enroll ourselves in a story that this is what they're thinking, and then we get all flustered and mad and upset. I know I'm guilty. Who's put your hands up if you've ever done this before in your life? No, you've never done this. Chris. I was like, you've never done this? This is shocking. Right? We do this consistently. We do it with coworkers, right? We could do it with the mailman. We could do it with the barista. We constantly are making up images and stories. Even as Naeem said earlier, it's like our brain is always creating stories and images all the time. But are we actually unlocking the fact that we have the power to own and clear our own projections, right? And when we own this, it's admitting vulnerably, I think I know what they're thinking because I'm a mind reader. You know, this is one of my skills. And I know they've got to be thinking all these things because that just makes sense on why I'm pissed off. They've got to be thinking these things. Say I if you've ever done that. Definitely have done that a lot, right? And so for me, what I notice, and I'm just keeping it real, what I notice as a part of this key is that when we go into this, we immediately withhold loving. One of my teachers in my spiritual psychology mastery program said, the biggest and most challenging thing that we do is withhold love. And we think we're withholding love from the other person, but what we're actually doing is detrimental to our own health because we're stopping the flow of love and energy in our own heart, which makes us sick, not the other person, right? Let that really resonate. You make yourself sick when you stop the love of flow moving through you. And you think you're doing it for the other person because they don't deserve love, but you're actually cutting yourself off from love. You're creating separation for yourself. Then when we create separation, we get negative thoughts, right? We feel separate. All of our old ego comes up. All of our old wounds come up. All these old stories come up, right? But we can then also hold resentment and withdraw, and then you just get pissed at them. Hence why having a container for clear, conscious communication is important, because it's a safe space for you to continuously unearth and bring up any resentment so it doesn't elongate. Now, why is this important, especially in intimacy or sex? Some of you may be wondering, well, what the hell, why, what is this? Think about this for a moment. If you are in a projection and your partner's not in a projection, and they want to come to you and they make an effort to surprise you with a date, or they come up behind you in the kitchen, right? Or they come around you and hold your arm, and you're closed off because you're in a story without checking with them, who's going to suffer from that experience more? Who's going to suffer more from that experience? I can't hear you. Who? Yourself. Why? Right. Right, fighting with your head. Right, correct. And then what is that going to do? Oftentimes, it's now going to reinforce a story of rejection. Oh, they don't want me. They don't want me. So it's noticing, what are we making up? So here are some key things to answer your question at the bottom. There are two really powerful STEM sentences that have changed my life, my relationships' lives, and things that have been proven. First one, the story I'm making up right now is. You should definitely write that down and also put that in your phone to go check it out when you find yourself in a projection. Again, not just in your sexual relationship or romantic, friends, family members, right? We're talking about intimacy across the board. The story that I'm making up right now is. And then you tell them that. The story that I'm making up right now is that you guys all think that I'm silly and crazy talking about this stuff, and you guys don't like this at all. That's a story that I'm making up right now. Right? No, right? But what if I'm thinking that, and I'm seeing based on you guys' reactions and responses, I could easily create that story and stand here and then close my body language thinking this sucks, they don't like what's going on, they're not really reacting, they're not really responsive, so I'm gonna just do the thing that I do to protect myself. Right? But when I say that, it liberates and it gives a chance, like you said, you're like, nope, that's not true. Right? It's not true. So we can bring that to the relationship without blaming the other person. Same thing. What I'm making up about you is. This is where we strengthen our nervous system. You get to strengthen your nervous system by hearing what the other person is making up about you. Sometimes we don't want to know what they're making up about us, right? We're like, oh, fuck, I'll just keep that shit to yourself. I don't want to know what you're thinking about me. But oftentimes, we want to know. Why? Because we want to understand the inner workings of our partner. We want to understand what are the stories they're making up and from what source, what part of their childhood, what part of their past, what part of them is making that story up, and through what lens we can see, oh, wow, that's interesting information. You chose to create that about me. Where did that come from, right? This is where we get really curious versus defensive. Like, this changes everything when it comes to it. And why would that be better? Because then you can clear it much faster and come back into love and sexiness again, right? Come back into love and sexiness again, over and over and over again. And this works time and time and time again. And when you clear it, not only are you clearing it from your heart, you're clearing it from your thought, because what you're doing now is you're elevating your consciousness by, one, being vulnerable, by, two, exposing yourself. How many of you like exposing yourselves? Nobody really. But fun fact, that was my word of this year, is expose, because I wanted to get down to like even the micro percent. And my was communication. Even though I don't want to say the thing, I'm committed to saying the thing because I want to grow and elevate in any old stories that I have. And the only way to do that is to be in practice. How are we going to be in practice if we're not actually taking the action steps and being in activities that get us to be in practice? Yes? Right? That's clear. Anyone have questions on this before I move on to the next one? If you're feeling this, say yes. Yes. Beautiful.
I think it's a great way to share, because a lot of times we share this information anyway, but then it comes out in an unsafe space.
Yeah.
And it's like, what did you say? And then you're crazy. And then they say what they think, and then you just go down this rabbit hole of negative emotion, right? So it's like a safe, healthy way to get the data out without people being offended.
Yeah, great. I love that. And just fun fact about me, I grew up in a very aggressive, violent household where all I saw was my parents yelling, screaming, hitting each other, fighting. The fact that I can do this today is amazing because I didn't have that as a model. And majority of us don't have models that can teach us step by step what to do, right? And so what that's doing is it's also creating, like you said, safety. You're safe to express yourself. When we feel safe in any type of relational dynamic, we can bring more of us to the table. We can experience more of the other person. And that becomes a radical permission slip for both people or all parties to own more of who they are and to let more of who they are be seen and loved. That's what's really profound about this particular key. Thank you for that, Naeem. Number 5, learning to show up powerfully as an individual. Even if you're in a unit, even if you're a couple, even if you're dating, right? If you're married, this is really important. And I'm happy to share all these slides too with the group as well, right? This is very important because your capacity to show up in your mind-body connection is crucial. If we show up in a state of exhaustion, tiredness, if we're a fucking mess, if we show up malnourished all the time, or a majority of the time into our relationship, there's no way in hell you can elevate your relationship. There's no way it can even happen because you're malnourished, you're stressed, you're not showing up for your relationship because you're having a harder time showing up for yourself, yeah? That definitely makes an impact on sex and date night and even just intimacy, the capacity to be with someone. You're tired, you're falling asleep, and then like, oh, they're not interested in us. Oh, we're boring, right? We can make up all kinds of stories about that. But this is a very crucial piece here because, again, you can only elevate your relationship to the state. Everyone's been talking about state here. To the state that you're actually living in. If you want to have an extraordinary relationship, you need to be living in a state, living, breathing at your level of being extraordinary. It's great to have a lofty idea that I want to have this spectacular relationship and experience next level sex and all these beautiful pieces. But what are you personally doing to make sure that that's actually happening? Right? Or is that all on your partner's responsibility to carry it? Right? So this goes into, again, developing and showing your own personal practice to open up your body. I talked about that as the very first one. Here it comes into place. Kyle talked about it earlier as well. What personal practices that you have to open your body? Fitness, exercise, dance, yoga, surfing. These things are crucial to your sex life, to your relationship, right? And that's going to ripple out into your magnetism on money and opportunities, right? And work relationships. All of this is a contributing factor, right? But this is your responsibility to actually notice, how am I opening up my body, and have a variety of ways. If you're doing just weightlifting, which is great, how can you incorporate something else that's going to allow you to feel more in your body? Maybe it's surfing, maybe it's stretching, maybe it's yoga. I love dance, meditation, breath work. What are some things that I'm speaking about that you could give a voice to? That's one thing that you currently do, and what's one thing that you could potentially do? Try out, be an experiment over the next week and try this out. I want to hear from some people. Don't be shy, I won't bite y'all. The question is, let's look at this, right? So developing or showing up in your own personal practices, developing your own personal practices or having your own personal practice that helps you be in your body, that helps you be open and feel aliveness in your body. What is a personal practice you have now, and what's one that you'd be willing to experiment with over the next week that's a different one that could support you?
Cold water therapy, and meditation are two things I've been wanting to try that I haven't.
Beautiful. How do you think that would benefit you in this particular practice that we're speaking about here?
Well, cold water definitely brings you to your body.
Yes.
And meditation helped me be mindful and more present. I notice when I work out afterwards, I sometimes relax, meditate, and the whole world seems okay. So definitely want to try that more.
Love that, and I love the presence. That's one of the biggest masculine gifts is presence. So the more you can cultivate presence, the bigger your gift becomes. Who else? In the back. Yes, we got someone in the back. Yay, we haven't heard from you
I just
yet.
called the back because I hadn't heard from the back in a while.
Exactly, good job. Good participation.
One thing I've been doing over the last 2 weeks since I got back here is getting up at the sunrise and watching the sunset or the sunrise and just doing some sun gazing and like body weight squats. And it's just wakes my body up, and I find that I'm just waking up at 5, 6 in the morning now, just naturally, and my body just wants to go do that more and more. So, yeah.
I love that. That's so great. Yeah, give him a round of applause. What a great change. Getting that sunshine, getting that sensual connection on your skin, that vitamin D, literally. Yeah, that's so great. Anyone else? Oh, okay, all of you. Go ahead.
I'll say one, and I kind of actually was inspired by Joe Ross, who originally you had mentioned how much you were taking walks and you were taking calls on your walks, and having spent a lot of time in New York City too, and I'm very competitive. I'm always I want to be the fastest walker there is. So I just have this natural tendency to just haul ass all the time when I'm walking. But I've been staying in Guaynabo, and there's so much stuff within walking distance. It's I've just been trying to walk slower.
Yes.
And take deeper breaths.
Good.
And just relax a little bit. So that's been a new practice for me that's been really nice. And I start my day that way.
Beautiful.
So it's really centering. It's kind of meditative for me. It's an active meditation in a way that I really like. The other thing that I'm going to get back into is actually what I kind of mentioned earlier was waking up and just also playing some music and just jumping around and moving, because I used to do that a lot. When I left Date with Destiny, I was for 6 months just blasting music at volume 10 for right after I woke up, which was a lot of fun. So I'm going to bring that back in.
Beautiful. Yeah. Love that. Anyone else? Yeah, Amy. Kyle, she's right there.
I'm just thinking about this. I think that I need to focus on my practice of relaxing.
Yes.
Because I don't really have a specific thing, and then I'm kind of I have what should I do? I never sit down and watch TV or but really setting time, because I tend to go schedule and then sleep. I can never make it through a movie because I sit down and I'm whoosh, so I think actually scheduling time to reset my nervous system to will help me be more present and more in tune.
Yeah, I love that. That's why I love long, deep baths is really great. Laying on the floor with the music and just stretching for 15 minutes. Doesn't have to be some great, crazy thing. Anything that's gonna get you to slow down, to let your nervous system be recoded with relaxation. Because when we are relaxed, that's when the most amount of energy can flow through us. Hence, again, with intimacy, when someone's viewing us and seeing us, can we be relaxed in our body, right? And can we just let it flow through us? Or are we tight and we're tense and we're trying to move on? It's a beautiful, I love that for you as well. And especially, again, working as a woman in the world, it's my body is it's for me, if I'm operating too much from my head, I'm gonna notice it, right? My allergies are gonna kick up, my body's gonna be tense, my body and back becomes really rigid. So it's, again, the first key of really cultivating a practice and learning, right? Learning how we need our body to open up. And it's different for everybody, right? That's where you get to be in the self-inquiry. That's what's really fun about these practices.
Do you think we could do a quick practice right now and shake out our bodies and do
Yes,
something fun?
I definitely think we can.
All right.
Let's definitely do something like that. So what I want you all to do is put your notebooks down. Beautiful. I want you all to stand on up.
We've been sitting for a little while. I can see that.
And we're almost
Everybody
done,
should
yeah.
stand up. Shake it out a little.
And I want you to, we're going to do some shakes. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some light bounces. So I want you to bend your knees. And we're going to use our mouth and our breath. So we're going to go like this. Tongue out.
Like a dog.
Yes.
I'm panting.
Exactly.
You know dogs sweat off their tongue, right?
So from here, right, I want you to find a way that your body wants to move, right? So keep going. Now, does she want to jump up and down? Does there circles? What does your body want to do, right? So do something that your body needs. Keep the breath. Yeah, say it, go. Thank you. Well, that's what happens when you don't wear a bra. Right? And so now here what you're going to do is you're going to do this. One more time. One more time. Right. And now we're going to hit the back of our kidneys.
Got some cracks in there. That's good.
Yeah. Now you're going to turn around and give somebody double high fives.
Yeah.
Double high five. Double high five. Double high
Let's go.
five.
I got you. Yes, sir. Woo!
Good suggestion.
Yeah. I felt I needed it.
Great.
Hopefully you guys felt that way too.
Does that feel good? And then we're moving to our last one, which is great.
Woo!
Woohoo! Also with this piece, notice, again, I love Kyle said it's our responsibility to show up grounded and nourished in our relationships, because otherwise this negatively impacts our capacity to love our partner and also radically diminishes the connection, as I said. So if we're showing up malnourished, then we're always looking for them to fill us. If we show up nourished, then we can give and be in a giving relationship. As we said in the beginning, this type of community is a giving community. It's not a taking community. So it's cultivating that same dynamic in your connections. And we can only evoke in our partner a state in which is us. We always attract our reciprocal. We always attract our reciprocal. And now in the final one is master the art and the discipline of worship. I love this one so much. So according to this practice, it's going beyond the surface level and actually feeling the vibe in the moment. This requires us to cultivate a moment-to-moment practice, because one moment things may be feeling good, and then the next moment things may shift, right? And what do we make that mean when things shift? Can we actually cultivate a practice of seeing, no matter what, first, love in ourselves, and then our partner as love. In this particular practice, use whatever word you want, but seeing them as God, goddess, divine, love, higher power, whatever you want to see, but seeing beyond their personality. Seeing beyond that, this is Chris. There you are, Chris. I see you, and I always see you as Chris. But you've got your stories and your past and your baggage and your growth edges and all those pieces. Can I look past all of those things and just see you in the light that you are, right? As the love that you are. That's the practice. That's what we get to do with ourselves first when we look in the mirror. And that's the practice at the high level that we get to do with the people that we're with in our lives, romantically. Now, this is what elevates our sex life as well. Because when we go into it beyond just trying to get something like sex or pleasure, and instead we actually use this beautiful discipline of worship to be able to give to our partner from a place of selflessness. Give to them so we see them rise and elevate. And it works both ways, right? It's dropping the scarcity of, oh my God, if I'm giving to my partner because I love them so deeply and I'm in devotion to them as love, as God, as my teacher, then I'm not going to be afraid that they're not going to give that in return if we're in this practice together, right? Because I know that they're also cultivating that same practice of worshiping and celebrating all the things that I do. And no matter what, we all want to feel worshiped. Whether we want to admit it or not, we want to be worshiped, right? We do. How amazing would it feel to just have someone worship the ground you walk on? And if we say we don't want that, I call bullshit. There could be a block and a fear of receiving. That much love, that much greatness, that much respect. That's an edge to lean into, is where your fears around actually being worshiped in your flaws, in your insecurities, right? In your past, in who you have been, but also the potential of who you are at the soul. And this doesn't just happen. This comes from a daily practice, as I said in the last slide, of cultivating an intention. An intention is something that is so powerful. If you take anything away from this practice and what we've talked about today, is the power of intention. Have an intention to love, your energy will align with that love. Have an intention to lovingly communicate, even in the messiness, it will take you there, right? Have an intention to be seen and be courageous. It will take you there. The power of intention is transformational. So set an intention of what you'd like to experience, what you'd like to give, what you'd like to create for yourself in your love life and in your sex life. And this will translate into all of that. But again, it's you cultivating this. It's you being able to practice. And why is it called a discipline? Because if it was so damn easy, everyone would do it. But it's not that easy. It's simple things. As she said, also Jenny said, it compounds over time, but you have to practice it. You got to work it for it to work. And if you're not putting in the work, which again, the work doesn't mean, oh my God, relationships are so much work, it's so heavy, and it's such a drab, and it's a drain. It doesn't have to be that way. Set an intention for the work to be light and fun and transformative, and it actually will be that. And bring that same intention into your connection, your lovemaking, your touch, right? What is the intention behind it? Do you have intention behind it? So this is an opportunity for you to really step into the power and unlock this potential to be the best lover, to be the best love maker, to be the best relator you've ever been in your life or have known yourself to be. It's all in your own hands. And now you've got the 6 keys to unlocking. So now you've got the keys to opening the door to bliss. And I'm going to end with this quote from Osho, which says, "Lovers don't surrender to each other. They surrender to love." Thank you guys so much.